Hey, thanks for watching. Today I'm going to try and show you how to make one of these back scratchers. This one's made out of African mahogany, beautiful wood, and believe it or not, this is made out of a single block of wood. And I'm going to duplicate that now. I found this piece of old weathered oak. It's about 2 inches by 2 inches by about 16. And what I'm going to try and do is just make a copy of the one that I've already made because I'm really happy with the shape and performance. So what I'm going to do is lay this on here and get the basic length I need. And I'm going to try and first of all cut a cylinder and then shape that cylinder up as I go. I can trace the pattern for the fork-like end of it, and then I'm going to chop off the end right here. So I'll take it to my bandsaw, give it a quick whack, and there I go. Now I'll center by crisscrossing the corners so I can put it up on my lathe and get it ready to spin. You can see right here on the lathe, that's how I'm going to lay it out. I usually lay the finished one on the side and I keep looking at it so I can get the general shape the same. Now I'm going to make this take it all the way down to a cylinder, so I have to get rid of the corners first. And then when I get it down to that cylinder, I can put the other details on there. So right here, I'm using, what this is called a gouge, and it's a spindle gouge. And I'm using it here to just take off these rough edges and get it down. Now, that spindle gouge will rip the fiber of the oak somewhat, so I will be coming back in a moment with another tool to kind of make it smooth. And here you can see me using a skew chisel, and that gives a really nice smooth cut. After working with the skew chisel, you can see I've got a nice smooth finish and I tapered off the handle. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue removing wood with the gouge and chisel. Here you can see me taking the point of the skew chisel and making guidelines for burning. This next part is a little scary, but I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to grip it very carefully. You mess up here and you're going to lose some fingers. And I lay it in the little cut and you can see I get some burn smoke, and that tells me I'm cutting a nice black line just for detail. It's free and I love them and they're easy to do. So I put them all the way across. I find it easiest to stain right on the spindle. I can just spin it around. It's not touching anything. Put a nice coat on there. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to use some super glue, and that's going to be my hard finish. And I'm going to show you, this is an accelerator that kind of speeds up the process. It makes it dry almost instantly. Watch carefully now. I put a couple of drips of super glue on a paper towel and then slide it across evenly. And then I'll go back and hit it with one more coat, making sure there's no dry spots and sliding it continuously. Then I go and get the accelerator, spritz it a couple times, and then I go back to the super glue for a third coat. Notice I'm wearing gloves on that one hand. Now I've made a paper pattern to cut these tines out, and what I'll do is take the saw blade and go up each side of the tine, and then when I've done that, I can take the bandsaw and just go back and forth and get out that little bit of scrap left. When I flip it around to get the side profile, I decided to just trace a paper pattern from the original. And when I get that pattern on here, when I come to the bottom, I just flare on each side of the bead, making sure it's centered, and it gives me that really nice look. Now my next bandsaw cuts are going to be right at the base, and I just make a cross cut and another cross cut, and it'll just knock that little rectangle out. I'll later come back with a bandsaw and clean it up. Take a look. I go in and come across, and there's the piece. And I do the same thing on the other side. Simple and easy. Here's the cleanup at the bottom of the rectangle. I'll just hold it and go back and forth with the teeth and let them work like a file. And that works really good. Now I'm going to go through the side profile, and I'm very carefully cutting along the paper pattern, trying not to make any quick moves. I'm kind of stuck here, so I'm going to have to back it out, and then I'll come in from a different direction, and you'll see this will just pop right out. There I've got part of the hook. Now I'm going to come in from the bottom, flare up to the pattern, and then come around. Notice my hand placement. My fingers are never going to be anywhere where the teeth of that blade are going to come near them. Come around and come out. A little bit of work with the belt sander will clean up these rough outside edges that had been weathered badly from laying outside for a long time. Now I can take and sand off the external curves, and of course this is going to give me some cross-grain scratching. Now I'm over at the drum sander, and I can get the palm, you might say, of the hand and get out any cuts. And now I have a smaller diameter drum, and I can get right into the hook part. This is kind of neat. It's a tool, and you can take and use this tool to put on any shape you want on the end. And I'm putting a half round here. I've got a Velcro backed sanding, old sanding piece of paper. It hooks on the hooks, and I can go in there and clean this up really nice. This last part, I'll take my stain and a dry paper towel and just get it in all the little spots that I couldn't do while it was on the lathe. Finishing up, and then I'll shoot it with some lacquer later. Now you can see this is a pretty good duplication of the beginning. It's a little bulkier, but it'll do the job. I'm sure my brother will be happy when I give it to him. Hey, thanks for watching.